The new study coming out of the Veterans Affairs health system paints an unusually optimistic picture for something as serious as skin cancer prevention. The focus is on nicotinamide, a derivative of vitamin B3, which in this research appears not just as another supplement, but almost as a kind of undercover guardian for the skin. The results are encouraging because they suggest that something as simple, safe, and affordable as this vitamin derivative can cut the risk of developing new skin cancers in vulnerable groups by a meaningful margin. For the more than 33,000 veterans included in the analysis, those who regularly took nicotinamide saw a 14% reduction in new cases of skin cancer compared to those who did not. At first glance, 14% might seem modest, but when applied to the millions of people worldwide at risk, especially older adults and those with previous skin cancers, the public health implications become significant. Even more striking is that in certain groups, particularly among people who had already faced at least one skin cancer, the protective effect was far stronger, reaching reductions as high as 54%. What makes this study particularly exciting is the way it links a well-known nutrient to the body's natural defense systems. Nicotinamide is not just a passive vitamin floating through the bloodstream. Biologically, it is a precursor to NAD, a crucial molecule that fuels cellular energy and supports DNA repair. This means that nicotinamide directly supports the body's ability to repair sun-damaged DNA and helps maintain the immune defenses that UV radiation would otherwise suppress. In other words, it strengthens the skin's ability to bounce back from daily environmental assaults. This goes far beyond cosmetic protection. It touches on the deeper resilience of cells, making it less likely for mistakes in DNA to slip through and evolve into cancer. The funny thing about this discovery is that nicotinamide acts almost like a quiet superhero. Unlike other forms of vitamin B3, such as niacin, it doesn't cause the uncomfortable flushing reaction that often limits use. Instead, it works in the background, invisible and unobtrusive, yet powerfully effective. One could imagine it as the skin's backstage protector, repairing, restoring, and reinforcing defenses without demanding much attention. That quiet reliability makes it all the more appealing, especially when compared with expensive or invasive medical interventions. What stands out as well is that this is not a niche, lab-based result. It comes from a massive real-world dataset. The researchers carefully matched participants for age, sex, previous cancer history, and other factors, which gives the findings greater weight. It is also a reminder that sometimes progress in medicine does not come from a new synthetic drug or complicated procedure, but from re-examining nutrients and metabolic pathways that have been with us all along. Nicotinamide is inexpensive, widely available, and already recognized as safe. The idea that such a simple measure could add an extra layer of protection, particularly in people who are already at high risk, is uplifting. Of course, the message is not that one can now ignore sunscreen or dermatological checkups. Nicotinamide is not a replacement for the basics of skin health, but it could become an important addition to the preventive toolkit, especially for those who have already had skin cancer or who live in sunny climates where UV exposure is unavoidable. If future prospective trials confirm these results, nicotinamide could be recommended more broadly, not just for veterans, but also for organ transplant recipients, immunocompromised patients, and perhaps even for the general population as part of routine skin cancer prevention. In the end, the most positive takeaway from this study is that it offers hope through simplicity. We often think of breakthroughs in cancer prevention as being complex, high-tech, and expensive. Here, however, the potential hero is a familiar vitamin, gentle, safe, and inexpensive, that just happens to be perfectly equipped to help skin cells defend themselves. If the findings continue to hold true in future research, we may find ourselves in a new era where everyday nutrients, intelligently applied, become key allies in the fight against one of the most common cancers worldwide. In that sense, calling nicotinamide the skin's new superhero is not exaggeration, but rather a playful recognition of how something small and unassuming can make a very big difference.